Hello friends, this is another Common Touch of Fantasy review, and my name is Paul. Today's review is The Goblin Emperor by Katherine Addison. The Goblin Emperor is the Fantasy Reddit's book of the month. I enjoy reading and discussing books on the book of the month that the Reddit Fantasy subreddit picks. We discuss it on Goodreads. There's a group on Goodreads for it, so check that out. Alright? Goblin Emperor is a story about a half-elf, half-goblin named Maya. He is a prince that is in the last line of succession to the throne. A tragedy strikes, and the Emperor and all his sons die, and Maya has to become the Emperor. He must navigate the waters of the Imperial Court that is hostile towards him, and he has to deal with his own insecurities and doubts about himself. One of the things that I felt while reading The Goblin Emperor is Maya's loneliness. He is the most powerful man in the kingdom, but he has no friends other than his servants. It makes the reader realize that those who are the most famous, the most powerful, and the most wealthy can be lonely as well. Eventually, he becomes closer to those around him, and their relationships are even, one would be considered friendly. But there's always a distance between him and other people because he's the Emperor. The reasons why I enjoyed The Goblin Emperor is because Addison is a good writer. She made me feel comfortable, she made me feel cozy while reading this book about Maya and his progression as an Emperor. I had to use my dictionary more than once, and that's always a plus for me. Reading about Maya's growing from an insecure child to a confident man was a real treat. His character progression was fantastic, and I just wish he had more interpersonal relationships. The lack of relationships in The Goblin Emperor is one of my critiques of this book. Because it was mostly a character-based story, I felt there needed to be more familiarity between Maya and those that ended up being his friends. Everyone was kept at arm's length, though, because of Addison's view of what it is to be an emperor. I wanted Maya to fall in love, but he never really did. It was just very familiar relationships and love. My other complaint is that the plot was just so sterile and unexciting. Everything I expected to happen happened. There was only one moment in the entire book that I was even surprised. I wanted more backstabbing. I wanted more gossip, more deaths, more intrigue. But there just wasn't. Also, Addison used a lot of complex words for titles and different stations in the Imperial Court that just didn't really add a whole lot to the world. Because honestly, they were just substitutions for words that we use in our own reality here on Earth. And I just wanted more imagination when it came to the world. With a world with a bunch of goblins and elves, I was a little bit disappointed. I wanted there to be more magic, I wanted there to be more strange customs, but there wasn't many. The only interesting custom in the whole book was when people were found guilty of something, their punishment was something that they had to do to themselves. And that was the only really interesting custom in the entire book. I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5. It's a high 3, but this could easily have been a great book. And I think that Addison kind of wrote herself into a corner by making the Emperor having to be so closed off from others. Even though that it was a main theme in the story to show loneliness in someone that is an emperor, it really hurt the overall story. I would recommend this book to anyone that enjoys good writing, because she is a great writer, and a very character-centered novel. This book is a lot like the Borgias or the Tudors, but without taking any risk that those shows take. If you are looking for a light, comfy read, pick this up. If you're looking for something exciting, honestly, probably skip it. Thanks for watching this review, guys. This was a review for The Goblin Emperor by Katherine Addison. I will check out other books that she writes. And she also writes as Sarah Monette. And I'm going to maybe check out some of her books as well. Because she is, honestly, she's a good writer. And just her world building was just a little off. And her plot was boring. I am now working on The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. Look at this thing. This is 1,000 pages. 1,000. And I just started last night. So it's gonna be a tough one. Honestly I want to read it before the end of the month, but it's gonna be tough. Anyways, guys, until next time, please check out commontouchoffantasy.com. Like it on Facebook, and add me on Goodreads. See you next time.